I want to call you Warden English because that's who I know you as Warden English. The issue of what is the bond boss? I mean, for folk at home, what is, because the book, bond boss, what is the term, that term, bond boss?
The bond boss were the toughest, meanest, most feared inmates in the Cook County Jail. A lot of institutions institutionalize such type of inmate. Some of them name them tier clerks, some of them name them chiefs, whatever, but the bond boss in Chicago Cook County Jail was the toughest guys. They ruled with intimidation. They would misuse the weaker inmates coming in on the new. They would misuse the staff. They did anything they wanted to do except leave the jail. And someone had to come in and straighten it out. Sheriff Woods was the sheriff at the time. He was fed up with the mess. So he hired a group of us from the Illinois State Department of Correction, which included Direct Winston E. Moore.
Now, who was Winston Moore?
Winston E. Moore was the first black warden in the United States of a major institution.
Too, right?
And I was his assistant and chief of security, eventually promoted to warden after the Department of Correction and the House of Correction, which was the city of Chicago jail, was combined.
What we talking about when this thing was implemented?
This book is based on 1968 through which I'm doing a series of books. This is the first book, whereas I'm doing a series of books trying to bring the history of the jail from 1968 up to the time that I left. I'll probably go back beyond 68 on some points with the help of people like Dr. Russell doing some research and try and inform the public what was happening with that jail, how the Department of Corrections came about, the merit system, the sheriff's tenures, how the sheriffs were elected for just one term and when that changed, and certain things that people should know, even the ones working at the jail don't know. They would be better off reading this book so they can find out something so that they don't repeat the things in history that cause a lot of problems, such as putting inmates in charge of other inmates, which was not the right thing to do because of the sense of value that the inmates have coming into the jail.
Dr. Russell? Let me ask this question before we get too far. How does the bond boss system work? Look at that. Tell us, how does it work?
Well, the bond boss was in charge of each section of the jail.
Now the bond boss was an inmate who was the baddest dude.
He was the baddest dude.
Such as the jail force and whatever.
Right, he was the baddest dude in the jail until I came. The bond boss was the toughest guy in the jail in each section, which had 32 sections. He used approximately 3 or 4 or 5 guys with him. They called tier clerks, whatever you wanted to call them. But he had about 4 or 5 of his henchmen to ride with him to make sure that any inmates come into the jail, he would force them into doing whatever he wanted them to do, even having sex with them. One of the main reasons that Sheriff Woods recruited us because they killed a little guy in the jail, hung him, and said he committed suicide.
Now, the people who was recruited, tell us about those. I mean, wait, how did they find, and then we're going to bring you down, how did they find Brother English? I mean, how did English, what did you bring to the jail? Who did you recruit to come off in the Cook County jail when all the white folks couldn't handle it? I mean.
Well, there were approximately 17 of us from Chicago working at the Illinois Department of Correction. I used to be a professional fighter and a kickboxer at one time, and I trained a number of guys. So I hired my whole boxing team and the coach from Warner Sanders Better Boys Foundation.
That's
Jim
Channel 5.
From the, Channel 5, Warner Sanders was in charge of the Archimos Jim Better Boys Foundation at the time. And I got in touch with him to recruit a number of the young guys that were on the verge of maybe going the wrong way in life, but they had finished high school and they were able to come into the jail and help me straighten the jail out. The 17 guys that came with me from the Illinois Department of Correction were officers on the shift where I was the shift commander, and we all came at the same time, transferred over to the county
And some
jail.
was ex-Marines? Or did you get the ex-Marines?
Yes, so we had Army guys, ex-Marines, Air Force gentlemen. In general, just a person with good knowledge of dealing with young guys in the street life type of atmosphere, and they came and we did the job, along with hiring approximately 75 guys in 2 months, which Sheriff Woods gave me the opportunity to hire that many people in a couple of months in order to do the job that was necessary to take the bond boss down.